Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Honorable Sayyid Yusuf Gilani, Chairman of the Senate, Mr. Asfar Ahsan, international delegates, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It's always a great pleasure for me to be here. I wasn't supposed to be here, but an event in Karachi got cancelled because of the visit of the President of Iran, and Asfar persuaded me to arrive last night, so I'm here. So the topic is of some interest to me because I've been writing about it and speaking about it and preaching about it as compared to the other countries in the world which have made progress. And that is, we should have a common agreed goal for Pakistan. That is a starting point. Collaboration should be around a certain goal or vision or mandate. Otherwise, we will be going in all directions. So my submission to you is that what we need in Pakistan is an inclusive, sustainable, and sustained growth. Not the kind of growth where the benefits are accruing to a very small segment of the population while the majority is completely outside the benefit stream. Or we're using the planet in order to extract the resources while we are contributing to the carbon dioxide emissions, environmental degradation, biodiversity depletion, and pollution. That's not the cost we are going to bear. And it has to be sustained growth. It's not boom and bust, because boom and bust does not assure the investors whether they should be willing to invest in a country where they do not know what is going to happen tomorrow. So that is my definition of the kind of growth around which we have to collaborate. The evidence from the developing countries for the last 70 years has now come to the conclusion that in addition to physical capital, which is the machinery, equipment, infrastructure, hardware, which you all know, and human capital, which has become now very critical, and natural capital, which are the natural resources, oil, gas, mining, and others. There are two other types of capital which are equally important for achieving growth of this kind. One is the social capital. And what is social capital? Social capital is there must be trust between the various parts of the society, between the private sector and the government, between the government and the civil society. Trust is the glue which binds the whole society together. Japan is a very good example, and China and Korea, where there are fewer lawyers and more engineers because they thrive on trust and social capital. The transaction cost is very low and resources are allocated efficiently. And the other one is intellectual capital. We've all talked about innovation, technology, creativity, ideas, and entrepreneurship. These are now clubbed together under intellectual capital. And if you don't have investment in intellectual capital, then you're not going to have sustained growth in the future. Having defined what are the contributing factors, I would submit in the context of Pakistan, there are 6 dimensions of collaboration which we have to work on together. One is the collaboration between the government, the private sector, and the non-governmental organizations. Japan Inc. and Korea Inc. give you a glaring example of where all of them worked together and took the war-devastated countries of Japan and Korea to become rich countries in the world. What we are doing is not right. We are blaming each other. Blame game is not providing you the social capital. Collaboration means everybody does their own job but work together with a common goal. The second dimension is that we should have collaboration between executive, judiciary, parliament, and in case of Pakistan, the military. Unless all of them are on the same pathway and each one is not going in a different direction, this collaboration will not produce the right outcome. The third dimension, in my view, is between the federal, provincial, and local governments. I have had the occasion to be part of the Economic Ministry's Economic Coordination Committee. After the 18th Amendment, we have a decision-making which is fragmented, where the federal and the provincial, although the local governments haven't come into existence, do not really see eye to eye. So if federal government decides the wheat price should be 2,500, one of the provincial governments says no, 3,000. So all the wheat then migrates from Punjab on the border of Sindh and Punjab. That's not how the national markets work. They have to be together and work in harmony. The fourth is between the government and the international development partners and the international community. Climate change, pandemics, health hazards are not something which are confined to the boundaries of Pakistan. We have to seek the help, the expertise, the know-how of international community and be part of the international community in solving these problems. And with IMF and the World Bank, who are our partners, we should have clearly defined capacity that this is what we want from you, not they telling us what we should be doing according to their dictates. And that is something where the roles are reversed. The fifth one is between the private sector and the private foreign investors through joint ventures, through franchises, through participating in global value chain, by standardized harmonization. And once you are standard harmonization, then your products can sell. India has the second largest number of FDA inspectors for the pharma industry, and their exports have gone up to $28 billion. Even Bangladesh has gone up to 4 or 5, and we are stuck with 400 and 500 because we haven't got the FDA or the WHO standards implemented in Pakistan. And finally, because I have spent 8 years in the academia, we have to bring in the academia and industry together to carry out research and help the country solve our problems. Now, why is this not happening, this kind of collaboration? I won't take much time because I was told that we are running short. Number one, we have existing constitutional bodies like National Economic Council, the ECNEC, the Council of Common Interest. We have underutilized them. We have not used them to bring the provinces and the federation together. They meet only twice a year or once a year for going through the annual development plan. That is a ritual. There are a lot of issues which should be debated and discussed. Number two, we have not utilized existing executive bodies. We have formed so many. And Yusuf Raza Gilani Sahib has been the Prime Minister, and he knows the Prime Minister is supposed to chair the Board of Investment, he has to chair the Export Development Board, he has to chair the National Water Council, the National Science and Technological Council, to develop the strategies, plans, and monitoring mechanism. But these are not really functioning as they should be doing. And that is a gap whereby our coordination failure takes place. Third, and I see a lot of captains of the private sector, the private sector bodies in Pakistan have been too much preoccupied with seeking concessions, subsidies, exemptions, protection, rather than raising productivity. They should explore new markets, they should develop new products, and they should take risk. They all want guaranteed rate of return in dollar terms, and that is not how the private sector should operate. The private sector is supposed to take risk, but if you're risk averse, you're not a private sector. Fourth, the capacity of the government, ministries, and autonomous bodies has eroded over time. And we have done a lot of reports. I myself contributed so many reports on the reform. And what has happened is that the agenda of Pakistan's development is being dictated by outsiders, not being developed by our own ministries and autonomous bodies. And unless we take over the charge of developing our own agenda and analyzing what our problems are and how do we overcome that, I don't think we are going to have a lot of traction. And finally, I would say, with due apologies to the prime ministers and the CMs, we have too much concentration of power in the chief ministers and the prime ministers. And rules of business of government of Pakistan are completely outdated. They do not respond to the needs of the 21st century. We have to completely rehash the rules of business and make a facilitative role of the government rather than an obstructive role of the government. In other countries I go, the bureaucrat says, "What can I do for you?" In Pakistan, I go and they say, "Ye ho hi nahi sakta." First response is, "Ye ho hi nahi sakta." Now, if you don't change the mindset through the incentive structure, and finally, our academics should not be just interested in publishing in the peer-reviewed journals of the impact factors. We have problems in agriculture, in health, in education, in financial inclusion. Let them use their minds, let them use their knowledge in order to find solutions to these problems. That is what my take is on the theme of this conference, which is collaboration for growth. Thank you very much.